Hey everybody, Aaron Sansoni here and welcome to another episode of Aaron Live. This is the show dedicated for you every single month, stream right around the world, talk about all fun stuff. We talk about business, we have some fun, we talk about life, and the most important thing that we do here is talk about how you can live by design and not live by default. So we're up to double digits now, right, Connor?
Yes.
Double digits, episode 10. There you go. So you know what? It's time for us to get started this month for another episode of Aaron Live. And we're back and nothing broke. There you go, hey? Welcome back. Welcome to episode number 10 of Aaron Live, everybody! There you go, hey? Told you, the most rowdy crowd you've ever had. So welcome to Aaron Live. We get together once a month and live stream this right around Australia and right around the world and talk about all things business, all things fun, and all things Elon Musk. It's turning out that he becomes part of our show all the time. So we will not finish Aaron Live without having a conversation with Elon. So a lot of things to cover off. If you're new to this, where have you been for the last 10 months? If you've been watching for the last 10 months, good job. This is the best place you could be. And we're going to be covering off a whole bunch of things. We're going to be talking about news. We're talking about who's really doing really well, which we're all crushing it, what I'm loving, what I'm not loving in the business world right now. I've even got a chance to train you with what we call our Mentor Minute. And at the very end of the show, if you're good, we might even do some live Q&A, some questions as well at the very end of the show. So let's kick off with our first segment. We call this the Biz News. The Biz News. Okay, so first up in the Biz News, a couple of things that I've been looking at. This one's hot off the shelf. I was literally about to go to air about an hour or two ago, and this one just came up and from today, and it's a pretty big deal in the business news over in America. Major retail giant, which I'm sure all of you have heard of, even if you aren't from America, Sears, which was the largest retail provider right across America until Walmart took over. They have just filed for bankruptcy protection, which is what you file for just before you become bankrupt, and it gives you a chance to be able to sell off a bunch of your assets in America. Now, these guys were founded in 1886. They're in $5 billion worth of debt. And if you think you're worried about your bill, they couldn't afford to pay their bill on Monday, the Monday coming, which is $134 million, which is due for the interest repayments. So think about how much your mortgage interest repayments are, and then think about the Sears interest payments. So these guys are closing down. This is a huge blow. And how many times do I have to talk about this, not just on this show, but in general, that the signs of them closing down are there. I've even talked about them on this show before. If you look back through their history, there's no reason why a giant that's been around for, let's almost call it 150 years, should be falling. But if you look for it, what didn't they do? Sears refused to invest back into e-commerce. And on top of that, they refused to put money. I mean, they even sold off the most profitable stores, which doesn't make sense to me. But one of the biggest things is they refused to get into the world of online selling. And they subsequently now no longer exist. So huge blow to the retail market, and another sign of what's happening with Amazon and the digital age. But it's, if companies can start up small and be dominating with the online presence, how can a company of 150 years old, still one of the biggest, still has hundreds of stores around the place, thousands of people employed, now lose their jobs because a company refused to get with the times? Bankruptcy for Sears, which is a big blow, which is a shame as well because of all the opportunity that these guys had in the market as well. So let's hope that Walmart and other places are paying attention to these, because this shouldn't happen, but it definitely makes the biz news. Number two, this is really interesting. Australia, and this is an Australian-centric one. Australia, we have a lot of different exports, but what's just been ranked the fourth largest export in our country is the digital economy. The digital trading is actually our fourth largest export, just made the business news. This is a $6 billion a year economy, and they see this tripling by 2030. Now, if you're wondering what the hell a digital economy is, so for example, if you have a YouTube channel and you get advertising, if you sell on eBay, if you have an app that sells, if you have anything that you make in this country that you sell anywhere else in the world digitally, that's part of the digital exports. That's now the 4th largest export in the world. And it's not, they don't really have the regulation around it right now as well. So they're looking at bringing those regulations in. So that's huge. And the growth rate of this 3 times, they're looking at the growth rate for this 3 times in the next, what is it now, 12 years to triple where it is right now is a huge sign of the times. I mean, looking at what we just talked about with Sears, there's a huge sign of the times that the digital exports, whether it be goods or services, are growing massively as well. So there you go. If you don't have a YouTube channel, get one. Do you sell on eBay, Connor?
I do not sell on eBay. My band sells stuff on Bandcamp, though. Hey, check it out.
Is Bandcamp a place?
Bandcamp is a place. It's,
like the Bandcamp?
It's great. Look, I think it came around before the joke. I don't know how.
I don't think it did.
No,
I don't think it did. I think it came on the back of that.
is.
No one called something Bandcamp and made a joke before that was a joke.
That's true.
Was it American Pie?
Yeah, it was American Pie.
American
That's
Pie.
like 2001. Like,
Yeah,
this
some
might be
people,
older.
yeah, I think no one in the room remembers that. They were about 4 years old back in 2001. So, except for one person who was no. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to know who you are. You know who you are in the room, right? So there you go. Digital export, huge. Number 4, $6 billion economy, growing to a $18 billion economy by 2030. So huge opportunity there, and big, seeing that a lot of businesses now are trading on there. You know, we've got, 1/4 of all Australian businesses are trading services on their website. Now we're up to half of all Australian businesses are selling products on their website. Huge opportunity, and also huge in the economy as well. Good. Number 3, one of my favorite men in the world, not my son, but the other man. Virgin Galactic, Mr. Sir Richard Branson. This has been years in the making. He says they are weeks away from launching Virgin Galactic for the very first shuttles to go up into space. Now, this is pretty cool. So weeks away to launch the next one. And then he says not long after that until this has now become commercially available. Here's what I also love about this story, because it costs you $250,000 to get on the shuttle to be able to go up there. But here's what I love about the story. I digress across what this article is all about, but here's personal branding for you. Sir Richard Branson said in 2013 he was going to do Virgin Galactic and he's going to launch this thing. Before he even made everything, he pre-sold tickets for $200,000 US to go on Virgin Galactic. Before he had even made the Virgin Galactic, 620 people bought those tickets. That's raising $124 million US, or about 210 million Australian dollars, to then go and start a business of pre-ticket sales. That is what you call the power of personal branding. And yes, I'm going to go on the Virgin Galactic. Can someone make that happen, please? Someone in my calendar, make that happen at some stage. I have to get that past my wife. She wouldn't let me skydive. So that's going to be a problem going to space. Okay, good. There you go. Virgin Galactic, buy a ticket, launched a couple of weeks. I'm excited by this. This is huge, right? That's massive. Isn't that cool, right? That's so cool. So there you go. The fun stuff in the biz news. All right, next, let's talk about my next favorite segment. Crushing it. Who's been crushing it, Connor? Who has been crushing it? Now
another Queensland dude.
I know, right? Well, this was a tough one because so many people are being sued. Australia has been representing right now when it comes to the kicking ass stakes. But these guys, I had a bit of a look around, and these guys are a listed company here in Australia. They've been around for a few years, and they're a really strong management team, strong board, and in a very much a growing industry. They've got over 800 employees. $66.8 million last year, and they've got about $147 million market cap last time I looked at their stock. And they are the National Veterinarian Care, which is run by Thomas Steenaker, and he just won the Gold Coast Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. He won that this year's 2008 Business News Australia Gold Coast Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. And these guys are doing really well. They're in a section that is growing because people like pets. Correct? People like pets, and pets need to be looked after. And they have about 70 clinics right across Australia as well. So they're into veterinarian services right across Australia. These guys are done really well in what they've done, and I love the fact they're in an industry that has been not doing much in the last 10 years or so. So Thomas, you get this month's Crushing It award for doing very well. And Gold Coast, what's happening with Gold Coast up there in Brisbane? These guys are crushing all the Crushing It awards, aren't they? I'm going to go back and get a statistic on this. I reckon 80% of these people in Gold Coast get win this thing. So let's give Thomas and Steenaker and these guys a round of applause for Crushing It. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Simple. What did they do? They found a market that needed something in it, and they went there and provided the full total service for these guys, which has been amazing as well. So excellent. You guys get my Crushing It award. Now, we're about to be back in a second to talk about my Mentor Minute, where I give you a chance to train you on something pretty cool. Actually, something I get asked about all the time. I'm about to share with you guys one of those little secret sauce moments. But before I do, check out what we're going to be up to in the next couple of weeks. Check out this little video. There you go. Welcome back. That is Elevate. So for those of you that have been watching that on Facebook, Instagram, we're talking about Elevate, new tour that we have coming up, which we are super pumped about. Myself, Turia Pitt, if you don't know who that is, immediately look her up. She is someone I've been trying to work with now for about 2 years. An incredible story. I want you to have a bit of a look up. And joined by some of our coaches and trainers and people that have been around us for a long time, dominating in their own space as well. So we put together these amazing one-day events, which we're going to be taking right around Australia, 4 major cities. We're going to be in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and we're going to be in Perth for these one-day events headlined by myself and Turia Pitt. So if you're in business, which means you'll be watching this show if you are, come along and hang out. Bring a friend. Tickets are now 2 for 1. That's going to be a great day. We're going to be playing flat for the day as well. So head over to elevateevent.com.au. So we're pumped about that one. That's my last tour for the whole of 2018. So come and hang out. All right, time for us to talk about the Mentor Minute. So this month, I wanted to share with you guys a couple of key things. I get asked all the time about who you should have around you in your circle of influence. Now, the reason I get asked about this is because every time I meet someone that's on their journey and they want to improve their business, and want to improve their life, every single person at some point, and sometimes when they first start on their journey, are around a whole bunch of people that are not serving them in many, many, many ways. And one of the hardest things you can do is say to somebody that's not serving you, that maybe is close to you or is maybe on the peripheral of your life, to say, well, you're not serving me, it's not working. It's one of the biggest decisions that you need to make. Now, this might not be, I'm talking about a marriage breakup. This might just be a friend that's been around for a long time. This might just be an employee that you've had within your business that you're trying to help and trying to fix, but they're not being able to get anywhere. And you're saying, well, maybe this is not working for me. And this is not just about their performance. This is not just about having good people around you. It's about what you want to look for in people that I call your circle of influence. Now, I'll extend this circle of influence to a few factors. If you look at, from me, I look at everyone else in the world and I look at my little sphere of what I call my circle of influence. Now, circle of influence isn't just about your friends. It's not just about your team members. It's not just about your customers or your clients. It's not just about your family members. It's everyone. It's every single person who wants to be in your life, that wants to be a part of your life. You've got to get selective when it comes to the people you want to be around. Now, here's a really interesting thing that I'll share with you about me. I was always fairly selective, but what was interesting for me, and I found this from people that I knew, and definitely when I went through this, but when you start to have children, you start to look around at the people that they're associating with, and you always try and curate their environment. Like, oh, you don't hang around with her, you don't hang around with him, they're not good people. But then when it comes to us, we kind of allow ourselves to be around people that don't add any value to our life. Yet when it comes to our children, I find myself, trying to see what my daughter, because she's in kindergarten, and making sure that she's around the right people, and making sure that our family are around the right people. So it's really important, I think, and you might have noticed this if you're a parent watching this, that you can sometimes take those lessons that we give our children, our family, and put it onto ourselves and say, hang on a second, who am I being around with? Because here's the deal. I've been traveling the world a huge amount. I've had the privilege of working with some really successful people, and I haven't met anybody yet before that is around real people that really aren't adding any value to their life, and they're somehow immune to that. the saying is you're a sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, which means if you put all those people together and you work out the average of those people, then that's who you are. And that's not just about wealth. That's about principles. That's about integrity. That's about everything. So I want to share with you, if I'm thinking about having someone come into my life, now, whether they be somebody that's going to be a family member, whether it's a friend, I'm not saying I say to my family member, it's over, right? It's done. But what it means is you might just not want to spend as much time with them. Or a friend, I have a friend that you've hung out with for so long, or you might even, if you're in business, you might even be working directly with people or a team member, and you've got to work out if they fit into these kind of categories, because if they don't, well, then they're affecting your circle, they're affecting your bubble, right? So when it comes to selecting the people that you want to have in your life, or deselecting is probably the first thing to start off with. Here's a couple of things that I look for when I'm thinking about having people that want to come into my life. Here's a couple of things. Number one, positive. Now, do I ever want to be around people that sometimes have a bad day and sometimes are a bit grumpy? It happens. Everybody is. Everybody has bad days. But there's a difference between having a bad day and just being an asshole. There's a whole difference between the two, right? So if you're not a positive person, then I don't want to be around you. It's as simple as that, right? So you've got to think about it. If you're around somebody that you walk into a room and instead of adding the value to the room, they suck the life out of the room like a vacuum cleaner, that's not a positive person. Why do you want to be around that person? You need to learn how to cut those people out of your life and not have them around you. When you're thinking about, a friend you might want to meet, have somebody around you that lifts you up. Listen, have you ever gone into a shop or a coffee shop or a retail store and some random person has said to you, hey, how you going, right? You instantly have to raise your energy and your vibration to that level. If you go to a coffee shop and you're ordering a coffee and you're waiting there and somebody else is waiting, they catch your eye and, your first thought is that this person's crazy. I get that. But then the second thought is that they just like, how you going? They speak to you. And even if you don't want to speak to them, they raise your energy level up because they're a positive person. So having positive people around you has a positive impact, right? You smile at somebody for no reason, that makes them smile. Then they smile at somebody else. That has a knock-on effect, a ripple effect as you keep going. So have people around you that are positive. This is not saying that if somebody has a bad day, you go, it's over. I'm sorry, we're done, right? But you've got to be around people that inherently are positive and want to be positive people. They're the people you want to be around. That's what I look at when I'm looking for my direct influences. Next, dedicated. I like people that are dedicated to what they do. I don't care what it is that they do. They can be dedicated to something that I think is, not in my realm of love or understanding of what I'm passionate about, but they're dedicated to that thing. They're dedicated to that craft. I love when people speak about something that they do and the way that they explain that thing, it's like they were the founder of that idea. Even if they weren't, they're dedicated to what they do. They show consistency in what they do. I look for those factors. Confident. Now, confident doesn't mean they stand up and they've got a big, strong, loud voice. You can have someone which I call a silent leader, which is a confident person, but they're confident in who they are and what they do. Now, do they have times where they can fall down out of confidence? Of course, they're human beings. But someone that's confident in who they are and what they do, they understand who they are and what they do. And sometimes we spend a lot of our teenage years and even our early 20s trying to work out who the hell we are. But when you find your footing on the ground, you get confident, you can start to run more. Now, confident doesn't mean that they're arrogant. You can be confident and you cannot be arrogant, right? But confidence is someone just who knows who they are. They know the value that they bring into a situation. I think about this whenever I'm having somebody else in any part of my life. It's really important for me. Activational. So activational to me means that person, when I leave their presence, I feel like they've added some kind of value to me. And I feel like even if it's just an emotional connection, they've given me something I can use in my life, but I just feel that I feel that they've added to who I am. They've activated me. They've turned me on to focus on something and feel like I want to be better in some way. If I'm around somebody and every time I meet them, they make me feel like I want to be better in some way, then that's like having a personal trainer on an emotional growth level in your life. You have a physical trainer that tries to grow your muscles. Well, activational person, someone that you're around, they make you want to be better. They make you want to expand who you are. Being around activational people that turn that on, motivation's different. Motivation's going to come up on my list in a minute, but activational people are people that make you want to be better and bigger when you're not in their presence, as well as when you're in front of them as well. I always look at that too. Next is inspirational. I love inspirational stories. I love people that have gone from a challenge and have turned that challenge into who they really are. You know, one of the reasons why we're traveling around the country with Turia Pitt next month is because if there's one person in Australia that's inspirational, it's her. You know, she's gone through one of the biggest, challenges you could ever have, and she's turned that into a legacy. She's turned it into helping millions of people around the world and hundreds of thousands of people here in Australia. And she does it in a very down-to-earth way, so real and so authentic, which I love about that. That is an inspirational person. Who do you get around that inspires you? When they speak and they share, who inspires you to look at your own life and say, you know what? If this is what I'm complaining about and they're not complaining about that, I sure as hell can get my shit together and I can go create the life that I want. Inspirational is really critically important. I'm looking for people that I feel come some kind of inspiration around. Next, encouraging. You want people to encourage you. There is nothing worse than being around people that constantly dig at you. Right now, you might have a family member that likes to dig at you, right? And it might become a cultural thing within your family or friends that you're around. There's a difference between having a laugh and having a joke and somebody who's constantly doing it. If someone's constantly doing it, let me tell you something. It's because of their own insecurities. And don't worry, I've been there with friends and family. And their insecurities come out by them not being encouraging. So don't be around people that aren't encouraging you. If they're not encouraging you, then they're not serving you. They're not adding anything to you. Next, value adding. What value does that person add to your life? I don't mean they give you anything. I mean they just might make you feel like you want to be someone different. They might make you feel like you're moving in the right direction. They actually want to listen to you. That these are the people that add to your life in some kind of a way. Like if I'm thinking about this, and I'll get you to think about this for a moment. Imagine if the top 5 people in your life that you're around had all of those or most of those things most of the time. What will change about your life? If those people you had around you fell into a ton of those categories most of the time, how will that change how you feel? Would you feel like you can run through a brick wall? Would you feel like any challenge came up, you'll be able to take care of it? This is why it's important you surround people, whether they be friends, family, team members, business partners, investors, surrounding yourself with people that fall into these categories because they are your direct influences. They're the people that shape your life. They're the people that make you feel the way you feel. They're the people that are going to help you grow to where you want to grow in any aspect of your life or in your business. These are the things I look at when it comes to my direct influence. I hope you took something from that. At the end of today, at the end of this session, at the end of Aaron Live, I'm going to be doing some questions, Aaron's advice. So if you want to ask me about who you should be cutting out of your life, let me know. And the answer will be yes, if that falls that category, just so you know, right? But at the end of today, if you've got a question, you can put in the comments right now. You can write any question you want to, get first in line and use the hashtag Aaron's advice at the end of the show. At the end of Aaron Live today, I'm going to be taking some live questions on the air as well. I hope you took something from my Mentor Minute, and I hope you're going to start thinking about how that applies in your life as well, about having those direct influences around you. I'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to Aaron Live, everybody! All right, can't wait. That was one more quick video on Elevate Business, Sales, Mindset. Myself, Turia Pitt. We're going to be joined by Jared Carmen, who I've just watched him go from $700,000 a year to $16.5 million a year business through applying some amazing strategies. He's going to be sharing with us. We're going to have Dr. Chanel Daya. She's going to be sharing what she has done, how she creates the mindset for you to be the success that you want to be. Jared, we're going to have Jamie, who's going to be joining us. He's going to be sharing how he's gone from a tradie to creating 6 brands and 6 companies in no time. Shani Bennett is going to be talking about online lead generation strategies. I'm bringing everyone right around Australia for 4 amazing 4 days that are going to be absolutely amazing. So if you're in business, you need to be there. This is the last event that we're doing. I've, again, in typical Aaron style, I've made the tickets ridiculously cheap. About $13 each for you to be able to come along. 2 for 1, $27. Grab a ticket, come and hang out. Or if you want to be able to join our Q&A, or you want to be able to come and get a photo with myself and Turia and a copy of my book, Think Like, signed as well. I'm sure I'll be signing on the day. You're going to be able to come and do that as well. The VIP tickets are still 2 for 1 until they sell out. So go grab them at elevateevent.com.au. We're pumped about this one, because it's our last tour for 2018, and we always have fun on our tour, right? So it's gonna be a really good event. Good, okay, next up, we have WTF, other known as What the Fuck. I love the Jackie Chan one. It's my favorite,
fantastic.
it's my favorite one. So I know a lot of you have been asking, where's Elon? So Elon's been here 3 or 4 times now this year out of 10 episodes. I'm going to have to start paying Elon royalties for the use of his name.
Oh, honestly, yeah.
I'm going to have to, right? So this one is a WTF. Why? For Tesla. Tesla has submitted a trademark only 7 days ago. I feel like I'm going to say this wrong. Tesla Tequila,
Tesla Keela, like
Tesla
tequila
Tequila,
But
Tesla Keela, right?
with Tesla in
For
front.
Tesla Keela. That's what Elon Musk has tweeted out to everybody. God, I love his tweets. The electric car maker submitted a trademark application October 8 for the Tesla Keela, described the planned product as distilled liquor. It is also filed as based on intent to use, which means Tesla doesn't have the product yet. The company needs to actually make it, but they want the trademark. Tesla Chief Executive Officer, Elon Musk, tweeted on Friday, I reckon he keeps Twitter, I think Trump and Musk keep Twitter in business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. At this point, yeah,
Do you think?
yeah, I would agree with that.
Tweeted
Well,
on
they keep Twitter interesting, at least.
They do, yeah. Tweeted on Friday, the brand would be coming soon. Musk also posted a mock-up, which we showed you, of roughly what the bottle's going to look like. Now, where did this come from? It came from it originated in April as an April Fool's prank, where Musk tweeted that Tesla was going to be bankrupt, and he posted jokingly that he'd been found passed out against a Tesla 3 model, surrounded by Tesla Keela bottles. And in true Elon style, after he tweeted that, Tesla dropped 5% the next day in its value on April 2nd. I think they should just ban his Twitter account.
I
Full
feel
stop.
like Tesla stockholders just don't have a sense of humor.
I know. Well, he has left the board, but he's not long as CEO, but doesn't mean he's not driving the company. So that is Tesla. What the fuck number 100,087 just for Tesla, right? But this comes back to their. How do you reckon they're going to come up with it? I wonder if it's a gag. What do you think?
No, I reckon he'll go through it.
Do you reckon he'll go through
at
with
this
it?
point, yeah.
I reckon he looked at like George Clooney and all those guys that are doing
Yeah.
the alcohol right now and said, I can do that.
Yeah.
So he can as well. WTF goes to Elon Musk. Let's just give Elon Musk a round of applause.
Oh, yeah.
Just for being Elon Musk. He's a
gift that keeps on giving it.
he's a gift that keeps on giving all the time, right? Love it. I want to invest in Tesla shares just so that I can go to their meetings, their shareholder meetings, and just hear the stuff firsthand.
Bring some popcorn, dude.
Yeah, I'm there, popcorn. The microwave one, the pops, that one.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, next, on the other side of the coin, we have what we call Love It. Hashtag love it. Now, I've been watching this company for a little while, and I really like this company. This is another Brisbane-based company. Like from now on, no more Brisbane-based companies, right? It's Melbourne all the way. I'm not going to listen to you unless you're from Melbourne, right? So what's going on in Brisbane? Something's in the water, right? Probably tequila. Brisbane-based company. These guys are called Tanda. They're a software as a service company, and these guys are doing really, really well at the moment. The founders are Jack, Tasman, Alex, and Josh, and they founded this a while ago. Now, this is an intelligent algorithm system designed for workplaces to keep them compliant and also track wages and predict optimal staff movement for their time. So when they're on shifts. Now, this has already been used, right, by huge amounts of companies, Domino's, Telstra, Ozpost, Bunnings, Boost Juice, our friends at Boost Juice, Janine Ellis, have been using this, and they've already got some offices here. They're opening up overseas as well. So they said this idea that they have to help you to know your labor costs and invest where the labor is needed. Now, here's what impresses me about this company. they've got this whole system that manages their whole workforce and keeps everything tracking. But here's what's really cool is they've got data on sales, they've got data on flows of customers. So they're actually working on the algorithm for this to have cognitive rostering and cognitive scheduling, which means that it will actually monitor what's happening within a workplace, within a hotel, within a retail store, and notify team members instantly that need to come in for their work based on the algorithms of the store. How cool is that? So if you have an increase in, Officeworks, for example, who's been to Officeworks and stayed in the queue before? I know you have, Sophie. If that happens, it picks up on this automatically and it calls in staff members and also lets people go home early if there's not enough people that are going to be in the business as well. Isn't that cool? Intelligent algorithms as well. I like that. This is an Australian-based company. These guys are doing really, really well. And they can now pull all the data and bring everything together. It also takes out all the bureaucracy of who's in, what that person's working for, favoritism. If you've got a retail staff, it's whoever's performing the most and whoever we need in based on the time we need there as well. So these guys definitely get my love it. And they're absolutely going to be a company to watch as well. So a round of applause for Tanda. Tanda. Love it. Now, top 10.
Yeah.
Who's excited about my top 10? Who's excited about my top 10? Top 10, we've had some fun stuff in top 10, haven't we?
Yeah.
This one's a more serious one. This actually is a more serious one. It sounds like I'm about to say it's not serious, but then actually is serious. Yeah. So this one is a more serious one. So my top 10 list this month, we're going to be talking about the fastest growing brands around the world. And we're going to talk about brand value, which is one of the things that we use to measure a company. Whether you're looking at how much a company is worth, you look at the brand value. Now, the brand value is based upon actual data, so sales currently, but it's also a bigger part of it's based upon the future sales as well, right? So if you opened up a store in a brand new country, you opened up a Louis Vuitton store that's never been there before, well, the brand value of Louis Vuitton means that people are going to stop, walk in and buy. Even before advertising, they're going to stop, they're going to walk in, they're going to buy because people know who Louis Vuitton is. That's brand value, right? So looking at brand value, I'm going to share with you the top 10 growing companies in the world that have had the fastest growing brand values in the last 12 months. So let's start off with number 10. Number 10 is Adobe. Like Amazon, Adobe is another company that started in a garage. There's like a whole list of people that started in garages, and Adobe is one of them. I think everyone started in the garage. Did you started in your Bandcamp was in the garage, wasn't it?
My band started in the garage, yes.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Your brand value is going to go up in 12 months. Watch. Yep. So they had a 53% increase in their brand value, and now it's sitting at 17.8 million. This is brand value, by the way, so you don't confuse this with the value of the company. It's one part of the value of the company. So $17.8 billion is its brand value, and safe to assume that these guys are doing really well. Fun fact, the name of the company derives from Adobe Creek, which was the founders, which was John Warnock's founder. That was a creek that ran at the back of his house. There you go. He went out the back for inspiration. He found it. Number 9, Dior. Anyone ever heard of Dior before? Anyone ever heard of Dior before? Well, the ladies are always answering this one, right? Dior, fashion house founded by Christian Dior in 1946. In 2017, so in the last 12 months, they've had a brand value growth of $3.6 billion, and they are doing extremely well, which is really actually good to see. And a fun fact again for these guys, their first collection was coral, which is a botanical term for the flower petals, which was that was their first collection. There you go. First line of collection. There you go. Only the ladies in the room really were interested in that fun fact. There you go. Dior. Number 8. Guess who number 8 is? Tesla.
It's your boy.
Tesla. It's my boy. Despite Elon Musk pretty much doing something stupid every week, their brand value has grown 60%. $9.4 billion is how much their brand value is worth. So I reckon the tequila is going to go up, right?
Oh, yeah,
it's going to work, right? Love it. So they've gone up $9.4 billion in the last 60% in the last year alone. Number 7, a lot of you would have heard of this, but you need to because they're massive. Tencent. In January, Tencent, a Chinese technology company, these guys overtook the rival Facebook as the world's most valuable social media business with a market cap of, wait for it, $540 billion.
Eat it, Zuckerberg.
That Zuckerberg is like, you can't acquire that. Right? You can't acquire that. So their brand value increased 60%, again, for about another $10 billion in just in brand value. There you go. Tencent. Gucci, number 6. Gucci. Anyone heard of Gucci, right? Gucci started out as Guccio Gucci. Guccio Gucci. Make sense? Say it twice, just as nice. Italian hotel worker in Paris spotted all these luxurious luggage the hotel guests were using, all this leather. So they decided to create their own brand in Florence. And in 2017, their brand value went up 66% and increased to $2.2 billion in their brand value too. Well done, Gucci. Look at them rocking it. Number 5, JD. This is an American company, but they're American, but they're Chinese actually. Chinese e-commerce company JD started an online store. These guys sell electronics, mobile phones, computers, and a whole bunch of stuff. They have gone up by 94% in their brand value. 94% in their brand value. I reckon most of it's drones. What do you think?
Yeah, look, you can see a drone in the picture, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
I reckon it's drones.
definitely
Drones. Or robot dogs. One of the two.
Oh.
So they've gone up $20 billion in brand value growth. That is ridiculous in brand value. Well done. Love it. Number 4, our friends at Netflix, Mr. Mark Randolph. That was a fun night, which we'll talk about another time. Mark Randolph. Boy, did we have some laughs with you, my friend. So Mark Randolph, who eventually made our event a couple of years ago. That was a fun night. They've grown their brand value 73%. 73% in the last 12 months alone, an extra $20 billion in brand value. Huge. Netflix, and they're going to keep growing. These guys are doing really well, especially because there's so many streaming apps out there now and streaming places out there still kicking butt.
Yeah.
Number three, and our friend still has his fingers in this pie, right? Number 3, PayPal. Payment solutions have gone up 85% in 2017 to $35 billion. Elon Musk is one of the 4 founders of this company back in December 1998. That's where he made his money from to begin with. He made money before that, but this one is his second venture. But he was ousted from the company. Wonder why? Wonder why? One of those stories will come out. Wonder why. Number 2, Mutai. It's pronounced Mutai, but it's not Mutai. So it's probably pronounced differently. And any of my Chinese friends watching are probably laughing at me now. Mutai is a brand. They're a distilled Chinese liquor, particularly in a town on the same name in China in the Guangzhou province. The drink is produced using fermented something, growing at 89% in the last year. Their brand is valued at $32 billion. Chinese brands are doing some dominance right now, right? Aren't they? Yeah. Well, we'll finish on a Chinese brand. Number 1, who has grown the most? Who has grown the most in the last 12 months?
Boomtown.
Who has grown the most? I'm going to drum roll. There you go. You're a drummer. Give me a fucking drum roll. Come on. There you go. That was a weak drum roll, right? Wasn't it? Number 1, Alibaba, everybody. Alibaba. These guys these guys started their first sales team, right, when they couldn't afford to hire graduates. So they hired young people from farming backgrounds. There you go. Farms. Now, their brand value in the last 2 is up 92% at $113 billion increase. The CEO, Jack Ma, who's actually stepping down soon, he should be awarded something like the honor of China for just bringing up the entire Chinese economy with his amazing Alibaba. That is my top 10 list, everybody! Brand value. There you go. I hope you guys have learned something fun at Aaron Live. And now it's time for us to go to our bit of our Q&A. Give me some on Aaron's advice. Now remember, you can write in the comments on Instagram, you can write in the comments on Facebook, or you can email us at studio@aaronsansoni.com.
You got mail.
That's Sansoni, not Santoni, for those that can't remember. Another joke from Friday. Good. All right. Let's do it.
All right, what do we got so far? Luan, you got some questions for me?
I'm looking through the inbox now.
What do you got? Give us some questions. Connor, read it from the email there. What you got there?
Let me just have a look.
So Jason asked if his business is closing down, how do you come back from it?
His business has just closed down, or it's going
It's on the
to
verge
close
of closing down.
on the verge of closing down. Well, it depends what sort of business you were in. If you're in an industry that is massively declining, maybe it's a good thing. It depends on where you're at. I mean, what your debt levels are. If you can sustain the business now. I'm not a fan of any business closing out. Doesn't need to, but you might need to reinvent yourself. What do we learn from Sears? Sears had no reason to go down and be the smaller, to go down and go bankrupt, file for bankruptcy, Chapter 11. It had no reason to do that, but it did because it didn't change. So if your business is about to go down, if you've not had any advice on your business, I'd say get some advice on your business first. Go and hang out, go and hang out go find a mentor. We had the Empire event, which we have actually coming up at the end of next month. It's a great event for all business owners to go to. That might be a chance to sit back and say, where's the value in my business? Because every business has value. You just got to work out where it is and unlock it. But it depends on what sort of industry you're in. I mean, if you're in a huge amount of debt right now in your business and you can't sustain that, sometimes having a fresh start might be the way to go. And it depends on the business that you're in right now. But I would say before you do anything, close it down, invest money back into it again, is go get advice. The thing that I don't understand is so many people sink so much time and money into starting and growing a business that they don't, and then they get all of the issues that happen. They don't stop and get advice for what they should be doing right. So put some money into that and work out what you should be doing before you close it down, because who knows, you might be able to actually exit your business and be able to exit your business without having to, close it down. There might be a way for you able to unlock that value as well. And that might be critical for you as well. So before you close it down, get the advice that you need to. Make sure you got the right advice you need to, number one. And number two, making sure that you're having a really good look at it to see if you can resurrect the business, because whether the business works or not, many people have, failures. Richard Branson had failures. Elon Musk has them all the time. We talk about them every month. I've had them. Everyone's had them. Everyone that you look up to has had monumental failures. Your failure of that one business doesn't mean that you're a failure as a human being. You're only a failure as a human being if you don't do anything about it, or if you sit there for, the next 10 years saying, oh, I'm a failure, get on with it. So work out where you're at, work out the strategy, and then move on to the next project that might be ahead of you, or fix where you currently are as well. But get some advice before you do anything as well. I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. We got a question on Instagram from Corey Rickett.
Hi, Corey.
Hey, Corey says, how would you go about telling your best friend that they don't belong in your bubble? Oofed.
I'll say, listen.
Get sassy with it.
I would, best friend in your bubble. Look, I think the good thing is that you're best friend and they're not your family. So count your blessings. So here's my strategy for family. Births, deaths, and marriages is when you only really need to see family members. And if they don't see you, so you look at your best mate, it's kind of like anyone in your life. You've got you evolve when you grow. The fact you're watching this, at whatever time it is, at 2 o'clock something, on a Tuesday, it means you give a shit about your life. You're not just going through the motions, right? And sometimes you're in around other people that just are so focused on going out on Friday night and getting smashed. And they're so focused on, what's on TV that night on Netflix that you outgrow them. And it's okay to outgrow people. People should be growing. You're either growing or you're dying. There's nothing in between, right? So you've got to make the decisions on who should be around you. And it doesn't mean you have to have this big monumental breakup. You can, if you can't get away from it, you can just slowly phase that person out. Just, you're not available, you're not available, you're not available. Or just say, listen, I love you, but it's not, this relationship is not serving me. I've had to do it with friends that I've known for a very long time. It depends on what stage of life you're at right now. But, at some point, whether they're serving you, whether they're judging you, whatever it may be, what's true to you. And it's really hard for you to swim when someone's holding your ankle.
Fair enough.
Get rid of them, and just say, you're not serving me. And as a reframe, me being your friend feeling this way is not serving you. Reframe.
Love it. Thank you for that, Corey. Wellness Wisdom Whisperer has just chucked a little thing in the comments here saying, just wanted to let you know I'm ready to build my empire. So that's nice. Thanks.
Cool, that's nice.
Corey says thank you. Love it.
You're
Excellent.
welcome.
I think we've got time for at least one more question
here.
From, let's go with Jeff in the emails. That's studio@aaronsansoni.com if you would like to send some stuff through. I want to do something similar to what you're doing with Aaron Live.
Yep.
Do you have any advice for getting that sort of thing started?
As in teaching people, or
As in, I think probably more. Well, so maybe something for teaching people, and maybe something for doing this sort of like public speaking in the online sense.
yeah, go for it. So my advice on public speaking is do it, because it's a contact sport. The more you do, the better you get. There's strategies and things you can do on, where you go and how you stand and, how you tilt your head. I'm not the person to teach you that. But I am the person that says to you, there's two probably major things I'd say. One, talk and teach and talk about what you know, because then you don't get nervous. Two, remember that they need your help. So if you remember that, then it kind of kills off your nerves as much as you can. And then after a while, you just kind of, won't really care what people think. So you'll just be able to, A, you need to serve people. B, you don't care what other people think. And C, you're sharing what you know. So those three things come together and you'll be a great speaker. I mean, if you share stuff you don't know, that's when you start to and ah, you're not too sure. But if you share something that's true to you in your own voice of who you want to be, then, if you try and, I don't understand why people make these online videos. And who told people to stand like this? Who told people to do that? Stop fucking doing that, right? People do this all the time. Or you turn on the camera and you become an idiot, the way you speak. Why do you, isn't it true?
Yeah.
And you become this weird person. So I like live, like this is as well, because you can't stop it and start it and stop it and start. You just gotta do it. Don't stand like an idiot. Be honest, be true. Yes, if you're doing a marketing video, starting with getting their attention straight away, you got to do stuff like that. I understand. I get it. We're all marketers. But in terms of being you, be you. Some people are going to hate you. Some people are going to love you. Some people are going to sit in between. And at some stage, they'll tip to one side. But if you don't stand for something, you will never grow a following. You never grow people that really care about you. And if you base yourself on the value you're trying to give to people, you'll never feel value because somebody's liking you or because someone's sharing what you do. You've got to know who you are, and there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. You promise. You are who you are. Your magnet will attract those people. Be who you need to be. Share what you know. Keep sharing it as often as you get a chance to talk about anything. Like if a friend says, do you want to speak at my wedding? Say yes, right? If you're at a friend's wedding and you don't even know the person, stand up and say, can I share a few words? Whatever it takes, stand up and share, right? But just speak. It's a contact sport. I've traveled to 40 plus countries. I've spoken in front of 300,000 people, from 10,000 people to one person in a room, and everything in between. So you just have to do more and more and more and more of it. If you stick within those principles I gave you, it's important. If you don't try and overthink it and stand like this and do these things and move your head this way, you'll be more received, because I think authenticity is what they're looking for. And don't try and impress people. Just be yourself. And if you get haters, you're doing something right, because you're standing for something. That makes sense? We pick on Trump and we think, but you know what? Trump's got absolute diehard supporters, even more than the presidents that have come before him. Mm-hmm. But he has diehard haters. Some of the presidents before him in that country have had lovers and not but they've never had those polar opposites. And those polar opposites, I think, is where you can build a brand. I hope that answers your question.
Well, speaking of building a brand, another question on Instagram. Would love a bit of advice. I think we've got time for one more question, by the way, so this will last. Would love a bit of advice on where to begin with a personal brand when you know you're ready. What platform or way would you begin? How did you begin?
I got a bobblehead.
You got a bobblehead, and it's moving uphill from there, baby.
Yeah. Once you get a bobblehead, you know you're big time. You know you're big time. So I think so. I'm going to tackle that question in two ways. One is, what platform should you use? You should use the platform that your target market are on. So if I'm on Facebook and Instagram, it's because people that want to hang out with me are generally here. I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't necessarily because most people on LinkedIn are employed professionals, whereas I generally help out people that own a business. They're on Facebook and Instagram. If you've got a really creative, crafty brand, then you should be on Pinterest. I was about to say pinup. Is that something?
Yeah.
It's not social media, but it's definitely something.
It's an existing thing.
I'm pretty sure that was from the 80s, pinup. Is that the thing? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Centerfold, You never know where Aaron Live's going to go. You never, ever know where Aaron Live's going to go.
Too hot for TV.
You're too hot. That's why I'm on TV. There you go. The other thing is Snapchat, right? If you're a younger audience, then you might look at Snapchat. So who's your brand target market, number one? And what was the second part of the question? Well, how would you grow it? What's your steps?
Yes. What platform or way would you begin, and how did you begin?
Yeah, so I started with, well, actually, when I started, there was no social media. Talk about age, right? When I started trying to create a brand, there wasn't really social media. And actually, then when Facebook was around, there wasn't the advertising platform on Facebook. It was just your own profile. There was no your advertising or kind of do all that stuff. So I think choose a platform where your marketers you want to connect with, number one. Number two, share as much as you can. Share as much as you can of your own perspective of something. Don't share content, share perspective. Don't share content, share perspective. I'm going to say it again. Don't share content, share perspective, because that's what people want. And then after a while, you'll learn kind of what your brand is and what you stand for. You'll learn your brand look, which should be who you really are. You'll learn the messages you want to be able to share. And then once you get good at that, you can start spending money on advertising, on ads and things like that. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you spend a ton of money on ads and you haven't worked out what your brand is yet, then you're going in 50 different directions. Whereas one of the great things about advertising on social media is you can really target a niche and you can go deep on that niche, or what we call inch wide and mile deep as well. So who's your target market? What brand are you? Sharing your perspective. And then work out what medium serves you. Like if you don't mind getting in front of the camera and sharing something and whatever it may be, then maybe that serves you. If you're someone that wants to get on blog posts, if you look at, you look at some of the guys that have come through, Seth Godin, for example. Seth Godin became one of the most famous marketers in the world. And how did he do that? Is because every week he released a little blog post of 300 words on his website. It wasn't even through Facebook. It wasn't through. You look at some guys like Jay Shetty, who's got known now as this amazing video guy on Facebook. Jay hasn't spent $1 on Facebook advertising at all, and he's one of the most followed people on Facebook. And his videos are viewed by tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people around the world. So why? Because he worked at the formula that works for him as well. So there's something in that. Working out what your brand is and differentiating that between other people. There's something to go, because more and more people are jumping onto these platforms and trying to market themselves. So if you stand like this and you do your thing and you speak like every other robot, then you go into the robot category and you go into what I call the sea of sameness. In a sea of sameness, you don't stand out, right? You need to be something. Seth Godin talks about purple cow. The idea of purple cow is that when you drive past a paddock and you see a purple cow, you stop the car. And you go, there's a purple cow. Why is there a purple cow? You take photos, you want to talk about it, because everyone else looks the same. You need to be standing out in the sea of sameness. But I'll add one more thing on that. In the integrity and the values that you are. Too many people trade attention for respect. Too many people. They want attention, so they say something, they'll post about something, they'll, wear something, like they want attention, right? And they'll trade their respect for their attention. If you work out what your brand is, then you can work out what you stand for, and then you can be who you want to be for the rest of your life. Isn't that one of the best things? And you grow your brand, you get paid to it at the same time. Does that answer that question?
Perfect.
Connor?
They said, Legend Aaron, see you at Empire. So that's nice.
You're welcome. Thank you for that. Appreciate
All right,
it.
beautiful.
Anything else?
That's it. No,
Good.
that's all we have time for.
We've got more questions, but I can't answer them right now. So here's the deal. Make sure you guys are going out and hanging out on our Aaron Sansoni fan page. I want to see your faces at Elevate. If you learn anything from this, come and hang out. It's the cheapest way people can come and learn for a day, get inspired, get motivated, get activated. Come and hang out for a day in one of the major cities in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, or in Perth. It's worth hanging out for the day. We're going to be playing full out and sharing everything we can to teach you to be able to live by design, not by default. So from myself, from my bobblehead,
Little friend here.
from my studio audience, so that's my prompt, right? And from everybody else that makes this show happen. Thank you for tuning in for the 10th episode of Aaron Live. And we'll see you next month for Aaron Live. We're out. Ciao. See you later. Hey, Instagram. See you guys later.